Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Late Saturday night, Billy Napier, the Florida Gators, land one of the more intriguing prospects in this 2025 class in 6'7", 314-pound offensive tackle Enoch Wagnoy has over a 7-foot wingspan. Now, there's a reason that there's no recruiting ranking next to Enoch's name. In fact, there wasn't even a 24/7 Sports profile next to Enoch's name until early this morning. He came to the United States as a basketball player, but I think they saw it 6'7", 314 pounds. We got to get you on the football field. He plays his junior year. His first ever snaps as a football player came as a junior in high school. Has some really impressive film that was hard to find, but want to get into the film, talk a little bit about what Enoch can bring to this Florida Gators program. A very exciting prospect. Before we get into it, just want to say thank you to you guys. It has been a blast covering this program on the recruiting trail, in the transfer portal. Cannot thank you guys enough for all the support you guys have shown the boys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll continue to keep you guys as updated as possible as Billy Napier continues to build this 2025 class out. Without further ado, let's get into Enoch. And what I think is most exciting is not necessarily the football player that he is right now, although, again, flashes some real athleticism on the film. I think what's more exciting is what can he be over the next couple of years. And this is not all too rare. You see a lot of big-bodied offensive linemen who maybe started their career as basketball players come to the United States. They say, all right, you're big enough to play football. You're certainly athletic enough. Let's get you on the football field. And again, he's behind the curve in terms of his progression, his technique as a football player, which certainly makes sense. But I mean, when we go back and watch the senior year film on this kid, I'm guessing you're going to see some massive strides. And at the end of the day, it's easy as fans to get wrapped up in the star recruiting rankings. And I'm not saying that stuff doesn't matter. 24/7 Sports does a phenomenal job stacking these guys up. But you take a look at some of the schools that were interested in Enoch. He's a guy that goes to the camps, impresses coaches, also has an offer from Auburn. Like, there are Power 5 programs in the SEC that see Enoch and say, all right, he is definitely not a finished product, far from it, but we're going to take a flyer on him. And that's kind of how I largely view a guy like Enoch, where there's certainly a possibility he comes to Florida, maybe doesn't pan out, but there is certainly a possibility that if he does pan out and he kind of knows how to utilize that 6'7", 314-pound frame, you could be looking at a very special tackle at the college football and NFL level. And again, the basketball background, you talk about footwork, you talk about your body being married with your feet, which is often something that you don't often see with these really big offensive linemen. Him being such a good basketball player, it makes you feel kind of good about what he can be as a football player at that offensive tackle spot. Now, a couple things I want to talk about. One, take a look at just what he looks like. Here's a picture with him next to Billy Napier last night. I'm willing to bet on that every single day of the week, right? You look at him, he carries that 314 pounds extremely well. You see the frame that he's dealing with, and you take a look at the film. And again, this film was hard to find, but I am impressed with what he brings. You're going to see him operate as an edge rusher at times. You see the juice that he has. I mean, it is rare to see someone 6'7", 314 pounds move like Enoch does as an edge rusher at the high school level. Again, getting out to the flat. Really, really impressive. Now, you see, this is where he's coming into play, right? Coming into play offensive tackle at the college football level. You see the power that he has in his hands, right? Just burying a guy. He needs to work on he needs to polish up, right? Like this kick slide is not necessarily the cleanest thing ever. But my question for Florida Gator fans would be, what does it look like when a guy like Enoch puts it together? And if he does put it together, I think you're looking at an offensive tackle that can be extremely exciting. But you see the athleticism, you see the movement skills for someone 6'7", 314 pounds, going sideline to sideline, hawking down ball carriers. I'm betting on these traits every single day of the week. And again, strong in the upper body. I think he's going to continue to fill out that frame and kind of add to that football play and strength. This is a really exciting get. And you take a look at what Florida's doing in this 2025 class. You already have a guy in Peyton Joseph locked in, who I think is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Peyton Joseph at 6'3", 309 pounds, playing his high school football in the state of Georgia. we broke down his commitment in Peyton Joseph, and we kind of said, we know what we're getting with him, right? This is a guy that has an extremely high floor. You can project it very cleanly to the college football level. You have a guy that you kind of know what you're getting with Peyton Joseph. Why not take a flyer on Enoch Wagnoy, who, again, there are a lot of question marks in terms of him as a football player right now. But I think the most exciting conversation is, all right, let's see what he does during this offseason, going to camps, going into his senior year. I would not be surprised if he starts collecting a lot of Power 5 offers, because there's going to be a lot of coaches that are willing to bet on that athlete and say, hey, I believe in my ability to coach up athletes. I can coach up a guy like Enoch. Again, not a guy that's going to be playing as a true freshman for the Florida Gators. You talk about a couple years down the road, you might be talking about a tackle that has some serious upside for the Florida Gators. Again, we'll leave it at that. Not a ton to go off of, but a crazy story, a crazy prospect, and a guy that I'm really excited about heading into the 2025 class. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Again, we'll continue to keep you guys as updated as possible with what the Gators are doing on the recruiting trail. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.